You're a wizard, Harry.
This is the first Harry Potter movie.
Gryffindor!
Compare this to Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I think the difference is pretty clear. Something happened to that franchise across 8 films, and the plot getting darker is only one piece of it. The books changed too, to be fair. Go back to the Philosopher's Stone after finishing the Deathly Hallows, and it almost reads like a different writer. Simpler, gentler, occasionally a bit naive.
Leviosa.
With relationships that haven't gotten complicated yet. But the films change even harder, because the film has options the page never had.
Dumbledore stared at the slip in his hands and then cleared his throat and read out calmly.
Harry Potter!
Put these two shots side by side. Hogwarts from the Philosopher's Stone and Hogwarts from the Deathly Hallows. Same castle, same franchise, 8 years apart, and you'd struggle to convince anyone it's the same building. Diagon Alley does the same thing. Harry's first walk down that street is bright and busy and a little overwhelming in a fun way. A few films later, it's the same street, but it's not somewhere you would want to linger.
Oh no.
Dumbledore's first big speech to the school is warm, almost cozy.
Begin.
His last one barely sounds like the same character anymore.
Their greatest weapon is you.
Camera work, color grading, the way a shot is held or cut, makeup, cinematography, acting, none of that exists on the page. That's why the director's matters here more than anywhere else. The first 2 films belong to Chris Columbus. You might not know the name off the top of your head, but you definitely know his films. Home Alone, Home Alone 2, Mr. Doubtfire, a guy who built a career on warm, easy family movies, and it shows everywhere in these too. Harry sleeps in a cupboard under the stairs. He's starved at the dinner table, dressed in Dudley's old clothes, and locked away whenever the Dursley feel like it. Take away the magic and the bouncy score, and that's a household where a kid is being neglected and abused. But the music stays light. Vernon is a blustering cartoon, and Dudley getting a pigtail is a punchline. It's framed as a fairy tale setup, the unloved orphan who turns out to be special, not as anything that should worry you. Night never really goes black here, it stays a kind of deep blue. Even when the movie is trying to be a little bit darker, for example in retrospect where Voldemort killed Harry Potter's mother, it is still so unnaturally bright. Scenes that should be properly scary, the troll in the bathroom, the basilisk, Voldemort's face stitched onto the back of someone's head, all come wrapped in enough humor that they never actually tip into frightening. The whole school is full of students with an awesome headmaster, kindest, wisest and most powerful wizard, Dumbledore. The production itself is conservative too, steady shots, simple compositions, just nothing too flashy. In the finale, Harry is barely hard. The whole scene is bright and very saturated, but the most important thing here is the message. Harry's hand burns him to the touch, because his mother's love is just too much for the evil Voldemort. Everything I mentioned so far, it fits. Because at this point in the story, Hogwarts really is just a warm, friendly place. Harry has no idea what's coming, neither did the people making the film, not really. The second movie of Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets follow exactly the same blueprint, so I'm not going to take so much time here. Humorous magical creatures with funny voice.
Harry Potter must not go back to Hogwarts.
Goofy teachers.
Pixie pest the Nomi!
Warm, saturated colors, the worst consequence is just losing your memory instead of life. It all forms an image of a simple, funny, enjoyable, and utterly childish movie. But then in 2004 the chair changed hands, and the first real shift happened. The Prisoner of Azkaban went to Alfonso Cuarón, a director who would later pick up Oscars for Gravity and Roma. You feel the difference right away. He pulls in horror influences, he sharpens the comedy without losing it. But what I love the most about Cuarón is that he pays attention to how scene is built, not just what happens in it. There's a single long take of Harry talking with Mr. Weasley in the leaky cauldron that nothing in the first 2 films come close to. The film is still made for a young audience, but it's noticeably sharper one. And the cast had grown up too. They are teenagers with a few films of experience behind them. But Cuarón didn't stick around either. The Goblet of Fire went to Mike Newell, the director behind 4 Weddings and a Funeral and Donnie Brasco. His movies lean hard into the tournament, which brings more action than the series had seen up to that point, along with a fair amount of comedy, of course.
3, 1, 2, 3, 1.
But it's also the film where something finally groundbreaking changes. This is where Dumbledore stops being the kindly old man handing out sweets and starts being someone capable of real anger.
Harry, did you put your name in that goblet of fire?
Relationships start getting complicated and every action brings real consequences. Harry and Cedric get to the mysterious hedge maze in the tournament and it teleports them to the creepy graveyard. With no warning, they immediately kill Cedric Diggory. Wait, they kill someone. We finally experience death in the series. We finally get something brutal, dirty, controversial. Well, it's also the first time a Harry Potter film ends without a real victory. And for the first time, the series leaves us with the feeling that things aren't going to be okay anymore.
Dark and difficult times lie ahead.
But even bigger turn happens when David Yates becomes the director, and from here the franchise makes a deliberate, sharp turn towards something darker, built for an audience that had grown up alongside the books. The kids who watched The Philosopher's Stone at 10 were 17 by now, and the story finally had room to stop pretending otherwise. Voldemort is back and everyone in power refuses to believe it. Harry ends up on trial in front of the Ministry for defending himself. Then the Ministry effectively takes over Hogwarts and turns it into something closer to a detention center than a school. Characters the audience has spent years with started dying. Up to this point, every brush with Voldemort had been an adventure. Scary, sure, but survivable, almost exciting. Then Cedric dies at the end of the Goblet of Fire, and that's the line. After that, the danger is real, and it stays real for the rest of the series. Somewhere in this stretch there is a fight between Dumbledore and Voldemort that plays out in near total silence. No music at all. And it lands actually harder than any battle with a full orchestra behind it. But by the Half-Blood Prince in 2009, the shift is impossible to miss. Places the audience has known for years turn cold and unwelcoming. At points the film drains almost all the color out of the frame, edging toward black and white. Main characters become truly tragic and dramatic, showing that breaking isn't just physical or external, it can be a slow, grinding process of moral, ethical and emotional conflict. And then there is the Deathly Hallows. It's so far from the Philosopher's Stone that someone walking in cold might not even recognize it as fantasy.
Simon.
For long stretches there is no castle on screen, barely any spellcasting, just 3 exhausted teenagers in a tent somewhere in the middle of nowhere, grey and dirty, out of options. The film is full of slow, wide shots, music is mainly quiet and atmospheric.
I'm sorry, no matter whose it is, I have to start finding these
But most of the time there is no music at all. The filmmaking turned from conservative to very artistic, and in Deathly Hallows it is observational. Look at this scene.
Do you think they'd be in there, Hermione? My mum and dad?
Lack of music builds the environment, tells the story by showing instead of telling. By most measures, it's the least magical film ever made about School of Magic. When Ron destroys the locked Horcrux, it fights back by showing him his worst fear, a vision of Harry and Hermione almost naked wrapped around each other, mocking him for being the one nobody really wants. It's on screen for maybe 10 seconds. The Battle of Hogwarts that closes the series play like a war film, not on the level of Saving Private Ryan or All Quiet on the Western Front, but close enough that it stops feeling like a fantasy battle at all. The defenders are bloodied and filthy, spells don't fly and fling people backward for a laugh anymore, they kill on screen. Although people say that the series lost something along the way, that somewhere between Chamber of Secrets and that final battle, the magic got left behind. Part of the reason is timing. The characters are 17 in the last book, but the actors playing them were already in their early 20s by the time the final films were shot. They don't look like kids anymore because they aren't. I grew up as a huge fan of the Harry Potter books, and I still remember the feeling I got watching the first films. However, I really dislike the way they choose to film the second half of the series. Everything is so dull and lifeless and non-magical. It's really a shame because I love the books. The opinions are incredibly complicated. Maybe that's actually the point. Harry Potter didn't stop being a kids franchise by accident. The kids watching it stopped being kids, and the films just grew up right alongside them, year after year, until the version of Hogwarts we started with barely exists anymore.